Hello there Quirky Birders, it's Lynn here and welcome to your Easter themed video tutorial. I've got 4 lovely designs to demonstrate to you today. We're going to make a start in just a little while with this wonderful little tulip design. Very, very simple and easy to do. I'm going to be showing you how to do some daffodils. We've got some little eggs that are hanging from a cherry blossom tree, and we've also got a trio of cute little Easter bunnies as well. So 4 designs, all suitable for cards. They can be upsized, they can be downsized, so you can do whatever you like with them. All are painted onto A5 paper. So I've got a piece of A5 paper here. Let me just move you up slightly. There we go. So I've got a piece of A5 paper here, and I'm going to be using just a normal size 6 brush. And yeah, let's make a start. So for your tulip design, it really is a lovely and very simple little design to do, and it's something that you can do as a little warm-up exercise to just get you used to your paints and your paintbrushes. So it's a really simple and very quick design to paint. So we're going to be painting that in the pastel tones. So I've got my paints ready, and I'm going to be using the colour purple. Now if you haven't got a colour purple, then obviously you can mix the purple using a little bit of red and blue together. But what you're going to do to begin with is just, there's no drawing on this picture, it is literally just painted directly from your brush. So you're going to start by painting in that forward facing petal. And you just want a nice light coverage of the paint. Now if you've got any of the paint that's pooling at the bottom, then just lift that away. Just dropped my towels, let me just put that back down again, there we go. A bit more organised. Okay, so you've done your forward facing petal. Now the next thing that you're going to need to do is just put in your second petal. Now your second petal just sits just behind the first. And just bring that around. Again, just keep it nice and pale. And then lastly, you can bring a third around behind. Like so. I'm just going to take a couple of those darker streaks of colour up the front of the first petal. So once you've done your flower head, the next thing that you need to do is you just need to do a stem. So using a nice leaf green, a nice vibrant green, and again keeping it fairly loose, fairly sort of washed out, let's bring a stem line down like so. And then you want to add in a couple of nice leaves. So we'll have a nice broad leaf in the foreground here. Now when it comes to the painting of the leaf, just allow there to be some white on show, so it's just nice and loose in the style of painting. I'm going to lift away some of that excess paint that's just sat at the bottom there. And then we'll just do a more linear and more upright leaf coming off to the left hand side. And again, just let that white show through in places. Okay. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're just going to come back up to the little flower head. And I'm just going to use a little bit of pale blue. So just wash your brush out and then take up a little bit of the pale blue. And all you're going to do with that pale blue is bring a line of the paler colour just down the front of that petal. And just sort of a little bit of shading really. You can do exactly the same with the petal on the left hand side. And let's bring a little bit of the glazing detail just to the right hand side too. So it's just very subtle. And then we'll do exactly the same with our leaf. So with the green of the leaf, I'm just going to bring up some of the darker lines of colour from the base. I don't need too much on the leaf in the foreground because that's actually got quite a nice detail on it already. So let's just do the second one. There we go. Now that's it for your tulip design. That now just needs to dry, and then we will add in the ink details in just a moment. So we'll pop that to one side and just lay that flat to dry. And then I'll bring back another sheet of A5 paper. And the next design that we're going to have a go at doing are the little bunny rabbits. Now these are great fun to do, and again they're just very, very simple and really easy. We do need to do a little bit of drawing for these, so you need your pencil. So I've got my pencil. And it's also nice to put a little bit of tape just along the bottom to give you this nice sharp edge where the grass is going to be. So let me just get myself organised and set that up. So I've got some masking tape here. And I'm just going to line up a little bit of the tape just along the bottom, keeping it nice and even. And that's just going to give me a nice border when we apply and do the grass. Okay, now it's up to you with the composition of this picture. You can just do the series of 3 bunnies if you wanted to without the eggs, so you can sort of cut it off at this point, or you can take it along and then just add the little eggs in on the side. It's entirely up to you. but these little bunnies are very, very easy to draw as well. So we'll make a start with those to begin with. So what you're going to do to begin with is you're going to start with your bunny's face, or the back of the head. And all that's going to be pretty much is like a pair of brackets. Like so. You can then take a line up for his ear, and he's got a nice sort of tall ear. And then the second ear comes off to the side, and then it's actually bent down. So we'll bend that ear down, like so. And then you need to put a second head in. So you need to put a second head in that's in line with the first. But you need to allow that space for that ear to come down. So we'll again put those brackets in again. Take the tall ear to the side and bring that round. And then we'll bring the bent ear down as well. So we'll pop that in there. So you've got the two the two heads of your little rabbits. And then you just need to put the bodies in. Now the bodies are just like little pear shapes, so you're just going to come right the way down, a little bit wider towards the bottom, like a little pear shape. And then you can pop a little fluffy bobtail at his back. So we'll do the same here, so we just need to bring that head in just ever so slightly. And again, let's put that pear-shaped body in. That's gone a little bit wayward, so let me just rub that out. Let's just bring it around the bottom. There we go. And we'll put the bobtail in. And then lastly, you're going to do a smaller one, which is just going to sit in between the two. So to do the smaller one, you want space for his ears. So we'll bring his little head in about here. And then we'll add in his body, same pear-shaped body. Little bobtail, and then his ears can just come up like that. Okay, so those are your three little bunnies, and then you need to just draw in a couple of little Easter eggs. So just group a little group of three together just like that. Okay, now the painting of your bunnies are really simple and really easy. Again, we're keeping it in the lighter tone, so I'm going to use some of the yellow ochre. And all you're going to do is just bring a line of that yellow ochre just down one side of your bunny. And then wet your brush. And then just using that wet brush, you can just manipulate that paint around the body of your bunny. So we'll come around the tail, being careful around the tail. Can bring the line up through the ear, again we're just working light to dark, so you want it to be quite pale. We will be over painting these little bunnies in places, so don't worry too much if you haven't quite got the colour first time round. We'll come down that bend here. And resist the temptation to load your brush up again with paint. Just use a wet brush just to manipulate the paint that's already on the paper. Now you can leave little bits of white on show just so it's got some little highlights. It's absolutely fine. And we'll repeat the process for our little bunny. So again, just take up that yellow ochre to begin with, and just apply a line just down the one side of your bunny's body. And then just wet your brush, and just using that wet brush, just push that colour around your bunny. Now of course you don't have to do these rabbits in this yellow ochre colour. You could, if you wanted to, do something a little bit differently. They could be pink, pale pink and blue. They could be lilac. It's entirely up to you. And then we'll just bring the third one in now. So bring that line right the way down. And we'll take it around the head. And then just wet the brush. And just manipulate that paint. Come around the bobtail. Let's do his ears. And like I say, just resist that temptation of reloading your brush with the colour. You just want to keep it nice and pale. And just have a nice bit of texture on those bunnies' bodies. Now it's sitting a little bit heavy just down this left hand side for me, so I am just going to use a dry brush just to lift some of that excess away. There we go. And then just manipulate that colour again. Lovely. Okay, so once your bunnies have had the first coat of colour, you can then put some colour into your little eggs. So I'm going to use a little bit of pink. So let's paint my first egg that lovely bright pink. Now that's a little bit wet at the moment, so that just needs to dry before we add in those second colours. So we can come back to our first little bunny and we'll just repeat the process with that lovely yellow ochre colour. Only this time you're not going to apply that much paint. You only need a little line of the colour. And again, just with that wet brush, just soften those edges. Now you want it to be a little bit darker just on the bunny's left hand side. And you're going to do that all the way along the three bunnies. So we'll bring another little bit of the colour down his ear and on the side of his face. We'll do the same for the little bunny. Again, just keep that darker colour just down this left hand side. I don't really need to do much with this third bunny because he has already got some really nice coloration already on him. So I'm just going to bring a little bit of the darker colour on the ear. Just over the top of the head. But he doesn't really need too much on him. And then we can just put in a little bit more colour on that egg. So I'm going to use a little bit of the blue. But I just need to be careful of that pink still. It's still a little bit wet, so I'm just going to make sure that I've got a nice line of separation between the two. And then we'll pop a little bit of orange on the other one. Okay. Now this design just needs to dry for a little while before we then add in the grass. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carefully lift the design up as it is, keeping that tape in place. So just take it off the table and just pop that to one side just to dry. And whilst that's drying, we can have a go at our daffodils. Now again, with this design, with the daffodils, we are not drawing, we're doing everything with the paintbrush. So it's really quite a simple, quite stylised design that comes to life when we add in the ink details. So, using a nice bright yellow to begin with, you're going to start by painting in the top petal. So you're going to have almost sort of 3 petals. So we're going to come in this side, and then we're also going to pop one in this side. Now, where we've got that little gap, we're going to just put in the trumpet. So the trumpet of the daffodil is going to come out from that base like so. And then you're just going to just put a squiggly circle all the way around your trumpet. Now you can then paint in your petals. So just using that lovely yellow, you can paint in your 3 petals. I'm just going to make this one just a little bit bigger. And that's the beauty of when you're actually painting rather than drawing. You can easily change the shape. If something doesn't look quite right, then because you're using the paint and the brush, it really is quite easily changeable. You're going to bring that colour up the side of the trumpet, and then just put a little bit of lighter colour inside the flower head. So you've got your 3 petals, and now what we need to do is we just need to add in another 2. So you're going to bring another petal in this side, and then you're also going to bring another one in just down here. Now you may look at that thinking it doesn't look anything like a tulip, but do stick with it because we will be adding in a little bit more detail and colour. So the next thing that we're going to do is the one that's forward facing just down here. And the process for that one is exactly the same. So you're going to just do your 3 petals to begin with. And we'll just paint that shape in. And then let's do 1 between. We'll do another 1 between. And then a 3rd one. Okay. Now while they're both drying, we can now bring in our stems. So using a nice leaf green, you're going to bring a nice bent stem down this one, and let's bring that sort of bent angular shape and bring that stem right the way down. Now I'm just going to put a little cup on the end of that, and just be careful up the side of the flower. So I've got a little cup. And that nice angular stem. You can pop some leaves in. Again, just keep that nice and linear. We'll add in the stem of this one here, and this is just going to come in at one angle like that. So it's going to be fairly straight. Now again, we just need a couple of leaves that come off this side, so it's nice and fluid. And you can even bend a leaf so we can come up And let's just put a little bend on the end, like so. Just take away any of that pooling paint and sharpen up the edges. Okay, now we can bring in a little bud. So what I'm going to do is use the green, and let's just bring in, where should we put it? Let's put the little bud up in the middle actually. So for the bud, you're going to just pop that little cup shape. So just a very, very simple little U shape you're going to do. And then it has a little ball on the end. And then from that ball, you can then bring the stem down. And then we can pop another couple of leaves in. And maybe even take one that comes across the picture. Let's take one that comes across this way. And then just tidy that edge up. Okay, so we can just add a little bit of yellow into that bud. So we'll just bring just that little bit of shape in for the bud of the daffodil. And then we can work on our flowers again. So coming back to the one at the top. Now this time you're going to use a little bit of orange mixed with the yellow, because you just want to have that lovely warm yellow colour. So I've just got a little bit of orange, and now I'm going to mix a little bit more yellow to that. You just want something that looks a little bit like that. So when you've got a colour that you're happy with, and I've just splashed that colour as I've mixed over the picture, that was okay. I think we may just get away with that. There we go. Okay, so to begin with, you're going to define your trumpet. So you're going to work at from the base of that trumpet and just put in that darker colour up the sides of the trumpet. And then you can define some of those petals, so we can also come around that side of the petal, and we'll do the same on this one. can put a little bit in the smaller ones, but nothing too much. You want to try and keep the definition. You want to keep the smaller ones a little bit paler. And the same on this one. Okay. Now when it comes to the trumpet, the cup of the trumpet, let's just bring that darker colour and just literally scribble that lovely loose circle right the way around. Like so. And take it into the centre a little bit. And then we'll take some of the darker lines just at the base of that trumpet too. So for the forward facing one, again, this time we're going to start with that trumpet. So you're going to bring that squiggly line right the way around. And then you can just bring that colour in ever so slightly. Now again, we will put in the orange lines on the petals. But this time you've got to allow there to be a gap between the central part of your daffodil, the trumpet, because you just don't want it, you want to keep that definition, you don't want to lose that, you don't want it to become a bit of a mess. Like so. I'm just going to take away some of that pooling paint on this one. Okay, so we'll just let that one dry and we'll come back up. No, we won't. We'll do the leaves. Let's do a little bit more on the leaves. So now the leaves have dried, what we can do is just bring in some darker lines of colour. So I'm just going to just work on the outside edge of the leaf just to give a little bit more definition. And then just take a little bit of the lines of colour through the leaf. So we'll do the same with this one. And just add in that nice little bend. Now you can always change your brush at this point if you want to put these finer details in with a finer brush. So you could always change it to a size 3 if that's easier and you feel that you've got better control. But you can still work with the size 6 and just work on the tip of the brush. We'll come down one side of the stem and we'll come down the side of the bud stem. define this one, this leaf that's coming across the picture. I'm going to leave the paler one, and I'm going to leave the stem of the main daffodil. Sorry, I've got a hair that's come across my paper. There we go. Okay, so once you've defined some of the leaves, we can then come back up and do the daffodil again. So this time, let's start with the trumpet and come around the outside edge of the trumpet of the daffodil again. We can put a bit more detail through the actual flower. There we go. And we'll do the same with our little forward facing one. So again, let's pop in those petals. Like so. Okay, now that's it for now. I'm going to leave that as it is, and we will work on that again once it's dry and add in those ink details. So pop that to one side and just let that dry, and then we'll bring back the bunnies. Now for the bunnies, you're just going to do the grass on the bunnies. Now there's a couple of things that you can do for your grass. So I'm going to work with just a nice leaf green again. And all you're going to do is, working from the tape, just push that paint from that tape up over the bunny's bottoms. Just come right the way along. Like so. Then you can go back again. So just go along the tape 2, maybe 3 times, and just put in your blades of grass. You can put some shorter ones in. And don't forget, this will be defined using the ink pen as well. So once you've done your grass, you can then peel away that tape just very carefully. So we'll just peel away that tape just to reveal that lovely border. There we go. Okay, so that can be put to one side to dry with the others. And then finally, we've just got one more design to do. And this is our cherry blossom design. Again, it's just really, really simple and very, very effective. And what you can do is you can make a little template as well, just to make things even more easier for you. So, starting with a plain piece of A5 paper. What you're going to do to begin with is you're going to draw in the branches of your cherry blossom tree. Now this again is drawn freehand with the brush, so there's no pencil drawings involved. So all we're going to do is bring a line of brown from left to right. You can then take a twig off to the left hand side, and again you can do a bendy one towards the right hand side, and let's bring that line up towards the top with a little branch coming off. So once you're happy with your shape, you'll end up with things like this where the paint sort of pooled. So just work using the tip of your brush just to define that line again. So we'll take that line right the way along the top. Bring that lovely shape around the bottom. Okay. Okay, so the next thing that you're going to do is you can just create a little template for an egg. And it's much simpler to do it this way, because you then end up with two perfectly formed egg shapes. So you can take a piece of scrap paper and just pop that up there to dry out the way. You can take a piece of scrap paper and just fold over the end of the scrap paper. And then just using your pencil, you can draw in the shape of half an egg. Like so. And then taking your scissors, you can just cut your egg shape out. And then just open out your template and just have a look at it to see what it's like. Mine's got a little bit too much of a pointed bottom, so just trim that away, so that's better. And then you can bring back your little picture. And you can just work out then where you're going to hang your little egg. So I'm going to hang one there. Yeah, maybe a little bit higher. Let's do it there. And then just draw around your egg shape. So you've got one. Let's hang the other one just here. I'll do the second one. And just by making these templates, it just means that you'll pick your eggs are both the same size. So you get a lot more uniformity by using the little templates. Okay, so let's just split this one here in half. So let's put a nice band around the middle of that one. So we'll start by painting in our egg, and I'm going to use the colour purple. And again, just keep it nice and pastel. And I'm going to paint all of my egg. So just coming around that lovely shape. Now, of course, you don't have to do 2 larger eggs. You can do a series of smaller ones if you wanted to. So you could hang multiples off this branches, but you can adapt these designs however you wish. I'm just showing you the basic designs today, and then you can always add your own creativity to it. So just keeping the paint nice and pastel, nice and light. Completely fill in the surface of that egg. Like so. And then we'll do the second one in the lovely blue colour. So we'll come around the top. And paint that. And then let's do around the bottom. Okay, so they now both need to dry. So what we can do next is we can work on our little cherry blossoms, and these are so easy to do. What we're going to do to begin with is just use the colour yellow. And all I'm going to do with the colour yellow is just put a couple of dots where I'm going to position my little flowers. And these are going to form the centre of our little cherry blossom flowers. So you're just literally doing the yellow circles. And let's just bring one down here to this side. Now what you can do, if your paint has then formed a little mound, just break that mound and just using a dry brush, just level those little mounds of colour down. There we go. And then the next thing that we're going to do is use the colour red. But you can use pink if you wanted to use pink, but I'm going to use the colour red. And what I'm going to do is then put a series of 5 little circles around my yellow circle. We'll do the same up here, so you're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th one. We'll do these up at the top. come around the side. Okay, so those are your little cherry blossoms, and then from there we can add in a couple of leaves. So we can just bring in just a couple of very simple, just simple and sort of stylized little leaves that just come underneath the cherry blossom flowers. Just think about where they're going to sit with the stems, and then just paint in your little leaf. Like so. And then the last thing that we need to do is just using the colour pink, we're going to just paint in some little circles on the front of our blue egg, and then just half a circle just to show it going around. Now don't worry if you feel like your circles aren't particularly strong, we can redefine them using the ink pen. So just pop those in like that. And that's it. That now just needs to dry, and once it's dry we can add in the ink details. So we'll pop that to one side to dry. Okay, and let's bring back our tulip design. Now for the ink details you're going to need a 0.5 black fine liner pen, and we're going to make a start with the tulip. Now the tulip is a little bit different in how we actually do the fine lining, so you may want to watch this process first and then rewind it before you go straight on in with the ink pen. So you're going to do the fine lining of this design all in one solid movement. Okay, so we're not going to lift the pen off the paper at all. So you're going to start at this gap here, and you're just going to come around the outside edge of that petal, and then you're going to bring it all the way down to the base of the flower. Okay, now we're going to go round the flower and then loop back up to the top, and then bring it right the way down the stem. Okay, you're then going to take it up through the narrow leaf, put a little twist on it, and then you're going to come around the broader leaf, like so. And this little tail here is going to form the top of your T. And then you're going to write the word tulip. You can then sign your illustration. So I'm just going to sign it in this bottom corner here. And there you have it. One very sort of a little bit more contemporary, nice and modern, but one really nice tulip image. Now, this also looks really good, not only for the front of a card, but but it also looks really striking when put in a mount and possibly framed. So it would be nice as an Easter gift. It would also be nice as any sort of birthday card, but really something a little bit different, particularly in the way that that's actually outlined with the black pen. So that's your first design finished. So I'm just going to pop that just to one side and we'll bring back our bunnies. Now, to do the bunnies, again, it's a slightly different process with regards to the ink pen details. But to begin with, we'll start with these little eggs. So all I'm going to do is just take the pen solidly around each of the little eggs. I'm going to put some little stripes on the one at the front. Like so. And let's just put some little spots on the other one. So that's the eggs. Now when it comes to the bunnies, you're going to do a fairly sort of jaggedy outline on the bunnies. So you're going to keep the line fairly wavy and a little bit zigzaggy as you go around the bunnies. So we'll start with the ears. And all you're going to do with the ears is just come down and just put one or two little sort of wispy zigzags into those ears. And we'll do the same the other side. So they're just nice and fluffy. We'll do the scribbly lines down the side of the face. And again, keep it nice and scribbly and fluidly around the body. Coming under the bottom. And down the other side. We'll do the same with the face again. And then you're going to go jaggedy around the ears. Like so. You can then put a couple of little whiskers onto your bunny. And we'll just add in the scribbles on the tail. And then you can repeat the process again with the little bunny. So again, little jaggedy ears. And squiggly line around the face and the body. Add in those whiskers and the tail. Come right the way around the third one. Let's add in those whiskers again and the tail. So those are your 3 bunnies. And then all you're going to do for the grass, and you can put a little bit of scrap paper along the edge of this if you wanted to, just to give you that straight line. All you're going to do is literally just scribble So loosely just scribble your way along the grass. No real thought for any pattern. Like so. And then once you've finished, you can then just pop your signature on it. And there we have your cute little Easter bunny design. Really effective for cards, but could also be framed too for any Easter themed decoration that you wanted to do in your house over the holiday. So those are your 3 little bunnies. So I'll just bring those over here. And then the next design that we're going to work on is the daffodils. So for the daffodil design, let's start with the leaves and the stems. So you can bring your pen just down the stems of your daffodils. Now we're doing these sort of fairly in our usual way. We're just going to keep those lines nice and solid and just define that lovely painted area. So I'm going to come around the one that's bent. Like so. Now where we've got this one that's coming across, apologies for turning it round, let's just bring that one in first because that's the one that's sat in the foreground. And then we can just do the ones at the back. And then let's do the little bud stem. Now I'm not going to put a second line on that, I'm going to keep that one just as it is with just the one. And then we'll put that little cup in. And then come around the bud of the flower. And then I'm just going to take some lines just off that tip for the daffodil. And I'm going to do the same on that little cup, just to give it that definition. And then let's do the larger stem. So we'll come around that little cup shape and then all the way down that stem. We'll do the same okay, so now we can work on adding the details into our little daffodils. So what you're going to do to begin with is you're going to come around the outside of those petals that you've painted, working up to the base of the trumpet. You can put the sides of the trumpet in. And then we'll add in the smaller petals that are in between. Now you've got that line with that petal, we can just put a little bit of the shading detail into the base of the flower. And then for the actual edge of the trumpet, all you're going to do is literally just scribble your way around the edge of the trumpet. Like so. You're going to take some lines up from the base of the trumpet. And then do exactly the same, putting in some lovely shape on those petals. And we'll do the same this side. Now try not to be too heavy-handed with it. And then we've got our last one. Like so. And then for this one, we're going to do again how we painted it. So we're going to start with the trumpet. So just literally just scribble your way around that trumpet. And then add in your petals. Putting in those ones that sit behind. And then just add in those lovely lines. And that's it. Once you've finished that, you can then sign that. And that's your very simple but quite effective little daffodil design. And again, this one too looks great framed and would look nice in a kitchen or being given as a gift. So it certainly is a lovely design to have some fun with for cards and also for a gift. So I'll pop that to one side and just bring back our last little design. And we'll just finish off the ink details on this one. So all you're going to do to begin with is just come around the outside edge of those painted eggs. So we'll come down this side and then around the bottom, and we'll do the same over here. So coming down both sides. On this one we'll put in the band, so we'll add that band and come around those lovely painted circles. And then we can add our tree. So all you're going to do for your tree is literally just follow those painted lines. So you can come right the way down. That sweeping line will come up through the top, bring the branch off to the side, the one down to the left, and the one to the right. we need to add our eggs to the tree. We need to hang our eggs off the tree. So what we're going to do for that is just create a little loop. So we're just going to bring that loop right the way over the top. So we'll do the same on this one. And then you can add a little bow on top of your egg. We'll do the same this side. And then you just need to do your little cherry blossoms. Now to do your cherry blossom, it's really quite simple. You're going to come around that yellow circle in its entirety. And then from there, just come up and around each of those red dots. Now you want to allow that white to show through, but you just want a little 5-petaled flower. You can add in your leaf, and then just attach it all to a stem. So we'll repeat the process on this one here. So come around that yellow and then do the 5 individual petals. Like so. You can then attach your leaf, so we'll come around that painted area of the leaf and just attach those to the stem. So the last couple around the yellow and then add in your petals. Come around that painted area of the leaf and just attach that to the stem. Then we've got our last little petal here. Add in the leaf. Attach that. And then finally one more. Okay, so once you've finished all of your little cherry blossoms, you can then sign your illustration. And this little picture has also been designed to allow there to be space. If you were using it for an Easter card, you could certainly then put in your own Easter message. So that's it. That's it. Finished. We've done our daffodils, we've done our little egg tree, we've had some fun with the little Easter bunnies, and we've also done something a little bit more different and contemporary with the little tulip design. I do hope you've enjoyed the video today, and I look forward to seeing some of your designs pop up onto my Facebook page. But thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your painting and have some fun, and I shall see you all again very soon. Goodbye.